So we're recording now, and welcome to the PyScript Community Technical call on the 14th of October 2025. A day that will go down in history for, I don't know what, far too many meetings for Andrea and Nicholas, I think. Since we've been in meetings all day, I think Andrea and I are just going to run this as quick as we can. So there are no announcements, so I'll get on with things. So usually what we do as a core team is give you our what we've been up to and our priorities and things like that. So I'll go first. What have we been up to? And what are our priorities? Well, we've been up to working out what our priorities are, because this week and last week have been the Anaconda planning weeks. So rather than actually doing any coding work, we've been liaising with colleagues and figuring out how PyScript and all of the work that we want to do with it fits with the wider sort of company. So that's been going on, hence all the meetings that Andrea and I have been in, and which is why we're perhaps a little bit quiet on Discord at this moment in time. But trust me, we can't wait to get back to Discord and business as usual. So that's what we've been doing. Thanks to an update in MicroPython, we can now inspect function signatures. So I've also done some refactoring on pyscript.web. So there's no actual change in the behavior from the user's point of view, but the implementation details don't contain the spaghetti code that's needed or that was needed to get around MicroPython's lack of inspecting function call signatures, because now it does, and just standard Python works perfectly. So it's a lovely way of simplifying the code, and I added a whole bunch of tests around it as well to make sure that every callable now works in the right sort of way, so that we've got all those edge cases done. So that's me. Andrea, apart from being in meetings, what else have you been up to?
Yeah, precisely. So same as Nicholas, around the meetings and the planning, and which is good, I would say. It's something we have to do. But at the same time, I've been working on bringing in the latest Pyodide for the next release, which I don't know if it's an announcement, but we are trying to release as soon as possible, either this week or next week.
Yeah, probably next
because
week. Yeah.
probably next week. Many things are coming together. We were stuck with the Pyodide because of a bug I couldn't understand, and I did the investigation. It turns out Pyodide was leaking for no reason. A specific reference to a WebAssembly specific thing that should have not leaked, but at the same time that opened a can of worms. And
You
so
ended up
there
sending
is
an email to the ECMAScript board, which is
yeah,
like
yes,
the
ECMAScript,
gods
which
of the
is
JavaScript internet, which was
is the specification behind JavaScript is called ECMAScript, and people agreed with me there was something really weird, and we ended up talking to Chromium people responsible for WebAssembly implementation, because there is a bug that is affecting only Chromium, not Firefox. Chrome. When I say Chromium, I mean Chrome. Firefox and Safari are fine, but basically, so it was a huge hole to dig, and but everyone is working on it. So we want to provide latest Pyodide, because also that latest Pyodide provides the latest ability to run the latest Pygame CE, which is something that is breaking out of the box right now. Not an announcement, just a sad statement. And at the same time, I've been working on providing the ability to provide your own TOML interpreter. So we know that we are using tiny, small, or smallest possible TOML implementations. They might not catch all the things, and at the same time, we don't need that because our config is super simple, and maybe that's good enough. But if you need extra TOML to provide out of your config more value for your own sake, because we also export the config within PyScript, so you can import the config actually and explore its abilities. So yeah, that's something else we've been working on. And last but not least, which is not in GitHub because it was in somewhere else discussion, but it's related to PEP 750. So we are this close to have PEP 750, which is T strings, which actually was a huge success in Python 3.14, and a lot of Python people are talking about it, what they can do, how many things it opens, how many things they can explore. And at the same time, because I worked on the first implementation of a DOM simulation of or a web page simulation out of PEP 750, the missing brick was the signals, and signals are meant to be reactivity in Python, the way, at least the way when it comes to the web pages and everything, the way we do stuff on the web. And I have a demo for that right
Yeah.
after the next agenda
Okay.
items and Nicolas talking through his
Planning
agenda
for yeah.
item.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's move on then. So
Yeah.
Dan isn't here because he's in planning meetings. Fabio isn't here because he's in planning meetings, and Martin isn't here because he's in planning meetings, and all of the other folks that often come and see us. So it's just going to be me and you, I guess. But we can
We
still
are,
talk for
we
the
are the
folks at
back.
home watching on YouTube and things like that. Is kind of what we're doing. So the agenda items. There are two agenda items. I'm going to talk about. Current state of where PyScript is and what we're planning to do. And Andrea is going to talk about the Signals PyScript demo and the Pygame status as well. So I'll go first. So what have we got coming? I can give you a kind of a sneak preview of what we're going to be working on. At the top of our open source maintenance agenda are making sure that our docs and examples are refined and rewritten and up to date, and the examples reference MicroPython and workers and all the new good stuff, because the examples haven't really changed since we announced PyScript 3 years ago. So we're going to make sure that those examples are relevant. We're going to make sure that the docs are written properly, and so that we reference those examples as well. So if you're learning about a feature, there's going to be an example application or example project that you'll be able to see as well. And we're going to kind of refactor things as well, so that those examples remain in our code base as well, so that they will always be a part of the open source project. Now, currently they are actually stored under the examples user in pyscript.com. But of course, like we said last time, pyscript.com is currently in maintenance mode. During this planning week, we're trying to figure out how the pyscript.com story continues. It will continue, but how that continues is yet to be determined. But currently, like I said, it's in maintenance mode. So one of the things that we want to do just to mitigate any risk is to make sure that all of our examples are actually the source code, and anybody can just run a local host and go look at them. And last but not least, we're also spending a lot of work to help colleagues within Anaconda, but also because it's good for the community, because lots of you have been feeding this back to us, and we've been noticing this when I was doing lots of tutorials at PyCons and EuroPythons and things. We're going to try and improve the packaging story, and at least make it more friendly when you get an error message, so you'll be able to see what the problem is, and also try and make it so that it's more efficient for you to get packages and the environment that you need for your PyScript code to run in the browser as quickly and as easily configurable as possible. And also, one last thing I've just remembered is that I'm going to be talking with Dawn Wages, who is our community manager at Anaconda and head of DevRel. Dawn is a former chair of the Python Software Foundation and is very passionate about open source community work. And Dawn and I are kicking off a bunch of work together to make sure that the PyScript community, our little corner of the internet, is well looked after, and there's energy being put into it, and people feel that they are valued, and all of this sort of stuff. So I have a meeting with Dawn on Thursday about all of this. So all the plans are being planned during this planning week. Too much planning going on. But anyway, now that you can see, now you can see what's kind of coming down the line once we've kind of got all of this stuff into a Jira instance and Miro board somewhere, so everyone can see what's going on, which is essentially what I learned. Just as an aside, I learned what fun it is to cut and paste on Miro boards for about half an hour this afternoon. It's not how you think it works. Anyway, how many software engineers does it take to change a light bulb? All of that sort of stuff. So that's it from me. Andrea, tell us about what you've been up to.
So the one thing I would like to discuss is the fact that PyGameC is broken right now. They changed basically the way they build their package, and it's not compatible with the current Pyodide. At the same time, there was a lot of contribution and back and forward, and at the end of the day, it looks like it's back, and it's gonna work on Pyodide. Hopefully, I wouldn't bet anything on that, but the idea is that it's gonna work on Pyodide 0.28.4, which still hopefully is gonna be released this week, or at least last time I've asked when is the next time that Pyodide is gonna be released. That's exactly what they told me, and at the same time, this is also going to fix an issue with the leaking thing from Pyodide, and so from our side, everything should work smoother, faster, better than ever, and from Pyodide side, also things have been fixed. So that's some great news. Signals. That will be my next topic. I'm gonna ask if I can share my screen, but Nicholas is gonna tell me yes.
Yeah, go for it. So watch
Go for it.
stream.
Yeah.
Let's see. I can see a what looks like an integer that you're going to change. Hey, look at that.
Whoa.
Woohoo.
So, how is this working? Well, I have a basic HTML page with an increment value, a decrement button around the value, and that's it. And then I have my main.py project. How does it look like? So from JavaScript, I import the document to query the page and retrieve increment, value, and decrement, and that's what I'm retrieving in here.
Yeah.
And I have from signals, import signal and effect. So what is a signal? Well, a signal is basically a specialized reference that holds a value, and this value at the very beginning, you specify the value when you create it. In this case, it's 0, and which is the 0 when I refresh this page. What is an effect? Well, the easy way to explain this is there is a cause and effect. So when counter changes its value, effects happen. So I could maybe name it butterfly effect as well. But basically, the thing is that an effect is a function, and you can see the definition of this function, truck counter, and the value is the element, the DOM element that I just retrieved. I changed the text content to counter value.
Okay, how's okay? So the decorator at effect around the track count. How's that connecting to the counter? How do we know that when the counter changes,
that's the whole that's the whole thing about signals.
Yeah,
it abstracts away the complication or the convoluted things that you need to think about. How does it work? But let me go through this, and then we show you what signal is doing. So an effect, like I said, is just something that happens whenever something changes. In this case, in this effect, we are reaching counter value. So this effect knows that if counter value changes anytime in the future, this track counter should run again. That's what, long story short, that's what an effect does. It runs again the same callback whenever any signal that was subscribed, and in this case we are subscribing that by reaching its value,
Okay.
happens.
So it's introspecting your code and going, I see, I have a signal in here. I'm going to.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, cool.
this is a signal. This is a value. The moment I access the signal value is the moment this track counter is a function eligible for being updated or
Yeah.
re-invoked
Cool.
whenever the counter value changes. Now, this is just a helper, so I'm adding add. I'm adding a value. Sorry, probably I should have called this I instead of value. So I'm adding an integer to this value, to the counter value, and here the counter value is equal plus equal I. So this is just a helper because I cannot align plus equal in a lambda, otherwise it wouldn't be needed. But at the same time, what am I doing here? Increment on click. Whenever I click the increment button, I add 1, and whenever I click the decrement button, I add -1. And that's exactly what you see in here. So it's, oh, no, don't select that. Well, I should have put some CSS to disable the selection, but basically that's what's happening,
Yeah.
and nothing more, nothing less. I'm basically fading away all the logic behind, oh, there is a listener, I should dispatch an event,
Yeah.
I should add a listener, I should, what's the listener do, what's the target, what's, all this complexity is basically gone, because we have counter value in here as a value, which is always the correct value. And in here, we have any function from anywhere inside this code. This could be something that happens in a device or remotely or whatever. It doesn't matter. The moment the counter value changes, this happens automatically. So it's an indirection
Yeah.
of listeners if you want. At the same time, this is not for listeners only. In this case, I'm using listeners because it's a click event,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have to be listeners. So for instance, if in here I decide that counter value is 1 2 3, let's see what happens when I refresh.
Yeah.
It's actually 1 2 3. So you see, the moment I change the value, the effect runs.
Yeah.
And when it runs, it does the right thing.
Yeah.
Go for it. If you have
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not
Okay.
seeing, if you have other question.
Yeah, no. This is very, very good. So, what's in signals.py is my next question. And given that Damien is working on PEP 750 for MicroPython, are your signals also going to work with MicroPython? Basically, what I'm
Yes.
getting at is the things that are in signals. Can we then integrate into the PyScript namespace so that other folks can start to play
Yes.
around with it? Yeah.
Yes. That's the reason I've been working on the easiest way
Yeah.
to provide signals, because signals, they have a dependency graph, so it's complicated. I'm not covering this today right
Yeah.
now because it's very complicated thing. But as you can see, I'm running MicroPython, of course. That's why it's snappy when I refresh and
Yeah.
it resets. And at the same time, the idea is that behind PEP 750, you can simulate templates with listeners and everything else, but you can also decide to have a signal-based reactivity, so
Yeah.
that you just have the signal reference around instead of the listener, the element, the DOM element, or everything that needs to be subscribed to the listener. You just pass the reference around, you change the reference, and the whole UI automatically updates.
Yeah.
And that's why it's conquering the web. And signals are a great primitive, and there is also a web standard proposal to
For
bring
signals. Yeah.
signals directly in. But right now, the same web standard proposal is based on libraries, because libraries have explored this
Yeah.
field for years at this point. But I would like to present you what's the deal, and you have to tell me, this sounds interesting, because we still have, so it's not, it might not be super intuitive or super Pythonic at the same time, but because maybe the dot value should be something else, and I don't have any strong opinion about this. It's just that's how it is on the web, and that's how it's working,
It
and
makes
this
sense here. The fact that you've used a decorator, it's Pythonic in that sense, and you've
yeah,
instantiated a signal with a default value of 0. So I still want to see what's in the signals.py code. Okay.
that's it.
Okay.
It's not complicated. So it's exporting signal,
Okay.
and the library is a signal. So signals, you should think about signals as a primitive. You
Yeah.
shouldn't think about what happens behind. It's a primitive that guarantees that if you have an effect, that runs whenever a signal changes. So right now, the signal is just a utility that helps you creating
Yeah.
counter signal or something else. And the fact in this case, I'm using just effect to basically wrap a signal effect, and that's thanks to decorators. We don't have those in JavaScript yet.
Yeah.
It's gonna take forever. I don't know why, but effect is just telling this function is gonna be an effect in the signal word. So
Yeah.
whenever something is registered, you should think about it. And now let's do something extra. Extra
Yeah.
is a signal. Well, it can be one, so that we can have here an f string that has counter value plus extra value, for
Yeah.
instance. In this case, if I just refresh, we're gonna have 0 plus 1, and only the 0, if I increment or decrement, is gonna change.
Yeah.
But that's because, well, I could do this as well. I can just add extra value plus 1,
Yeah.
so they will race against each other, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you see how little amount of code
Yeah.
I have
It's
to
nice and clean.
change.
It's nice and clean.
Yeah. And
Cool.
so that's something I would like to bring into the PyScript web, which you're working
Yeah.
on right now these days, namespace, as soon as MicroPython brings in PEP 750. But like I've said before, we are this close
Yeah.
to have it in, and I cannot wait for it, to be honest, because it's gonna be it's gonna be for me a huge helper and relief
Yeah.
for the web when you want Python on the web.
Yeah.
Well, if we bring in primitives that has never been around even on the JavaScript world, but they are the latest coolest thing, and they have been demonstrating it's worth it because it's becoming our web standard too.
Yeah.
So I think that's a deal.
So I noticed that you imported, from JS, which is the global this in a browser, and so that works
Yeah.
in Chrome. I'm guessing that's what you were using there. How about Firefox and Safari, the other two major,
Yeah, the
and
library,
mobile browsers as well?
everything. It works on everything. Right now, I'm importing
Okay.
from the
So
J
okay. So in the HTML, you're bringing in a Signal JavaScript module. Yeah.
library
Yeah.
right now
Yeah.
because I want to be sure that this library fulfills all the signals requirements. Right now, it's compared with one of the most downloaded signals libraries, which is Preact Signals,
Yeah.
and Preact Signals from the Preact, which is the lightweight version
Yeah.
of React. Preact Signals recently they just bumped the download chart,
Yeah.
skyrocketing,
Yeah.
and that's cool. And I think is really robust, stable, and everything else. So I'm code covering. It's 100% code covered right now.
Yeah.
But the amount of code at the end, when you minify and compress it,
Is
um,
minute.
just to just to just to give you um, an idea how big is the code is like 600 bytes and no more. Every other library is way bigger. This one is based on event emitter, and the event emitter is DOM-based API, so it's using bricks from the web.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the pure Python version, the event emitter itself needed to cover this is gonna be 20 lines of Python and no more, and so this can be really be a pure Python thing that people can use on the server, on the desktop, or on the web.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And
This is
that's the
good.
idea.
This is good. This is good. Okay, so we need to I don't know, buy Damien more beer or whatever it is that gets him coding, so that we get the PEP 750 landing in MicroPython, and the next version of Pyodide will be Python 3.14, right? So that will have PEP 750 in it.
Yeah.
So
No, sorry. 0.28.4 won't be 3.14. 0.29 won't be 3.14 neither. Actually, I'm not even sure if 0.28.4 lands or is gonna be directly 0.29, but they said that because all the other packages need to be updated to work with Python 3.14, they want to start doing that part, because I mean they have a lot of on their shoulders. They are repackaging everything to be compatible with Pyodide, and that means that everything has to be on the same exact CPython version, otherwise things break.
Oh man, so many ducks to line up, but once they're lined up, it's going to be a really interesting world to be a part of the PyScript. Because as you're explaining this, I'm thinking about the work that I've been doing on Invent, which has this notion of channels, and I'm like, well, hang on, I could just re-implement all of that. I mean, the API can remain the same, so because part of the value that I'm trying to create with Invent is that it's easy to teach. So the notion of channels is easy to teach to beginners, whereas signals and decorators and things aren't. We know this because I've studied this. But anyway, the point is that under the hood, I can use the work that's going on with signals to make that super efficient. I don't want to write that code. I want to have that in the PyScript core library namespace in some sense, so that I know I can rely on it from now on. So this is really exciting for me, and the fact that it'll work with Pyodide and MicroPython as well is pretty cool. It is definitely very, very, very cool. Cool. Is there anything else?
Not from me.
Not from me either. So thanks for watching, folks, on YouTube. And as always, if you have any comments or feedback or suggestions, hit us up on Discord, and we're more than happy to chat when we're not in meetings. And we look forward to seeing you in a fortnight's time, in 2 weeks' time, when actually we'll be back to our usual way of working, because we will no longer be planning. So cool. With that, I'm going to stop the video. So ciao, folks, and see you soon.